Imagine this. An uncharted alien planet, silent and shrouded in eerie twilight. Ancient cities stretch into the horizon, their towering spires casting long shadows over barren streets. Humanity's curiosity has brought them here, chasing hope in the stars. But as the crew sets foot on this alien world, they find it isn't abandoned as they thought. Something lurks in the darkness, something dead, yet impossibly alive. And it's hungry. Before we unravel the horrors of this doomed expedition, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you love spine-chilling stories of aliens, the supernatural, and the macabre, you won't want to miss what comes next. Humanity had always sought to escape its confines. Earth, though still thriving, had begun to feel small. Space exploration teams, emboldened by breakthroughs in faster-than-light travel, sought to chart new worlds. The crew of the Stellar Horizon, a state-of-the-art exploratory vessel, had been tasked with one such mission. Their destination? The uncharted planet designated E47 Theta. Initial scans showed an Earth-like atmosphere and signs of a once-thriving alien civilization. Cities dotted the surface, visible even from orbit. The ruins looked ancient, as though no sentient being had touched them in millennia. It was the perfect candidate for exploration, maybe even colonization. Captain Eliza Morgan, a seasoned astronaut with years of experience, led the team. Her crew was a mix of seasoned professionals and green recruits, scientists, engineers, and security personnel. The excitement was palpable as the landing shuttle descended through the planet's thick, yellow-tinted atmosphere. When the shuttle landed, the first thing they noticed was the silence. No animals, no wind, not even the faint hum of machinery. Just silence. It was oppressive, the kind that crawled under your skin and whispered that something was wrong. The crew fanned out cautiously, weapons slung over shoulders, and began exploring the nearby structures. The architecture was unlike anything they'd seen. Tall spires of obsidian-like stone twisted into impossible shapes. Glowing symbols lined the walls of the buildings, pulsing faintly as if still alive. Dr. Elena Harper, the team's xenobiologist, ran her gloved fingers over the strange markings. "Incredible," she murmured. "This civilization must have been highly advanced. But where are they now?" As they delved deeper, they found remnants of alien life. Skeletal remains, long decayed. Yet no signs of violence or disease explained the extinction. The only clue was an ominous phrase repeated in the alien script. "Beware the eternal hunger." The crew was on edge, but they pressed on. Humanity's survival demanded it. Hours into the exploration, they heard it. A faint shuffling sound echoed through the empty streets, growing louder with each passing second. Weapons were raised, flashlights cutting through the gloom. Then it appeared. A humanoid figure stumbled into the dim light. Its body was gaunt, its flesh gray and pockmarked with lesions. Though vaguely human in shape, its elongated limbs and glowing, pupil-less eyes betrayed its alien origin. "Is it alive?" whispered one of the recruits, Jenkins, as he trained his rifle on it. The figure staggered closer, then froze, tilted its head unnaturally, as if listening. Suddenly, it shrieked, a guttural, bone-chilling sound, and lunged forward with inhuman speed. "Open fire!" Captain Morgan shouted. Bullets tore through the creature's body, but it didn't slow. It tackled Jenkins, teeth sinking into his arm before the rest of the team unloaded their weapons into it. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the alien collapsed, motionless. Jenkins clutched his bleeding arm, pale and trembling. What the hell was that? Before anyone could answer, a distant chorus of shrieks erupted, growing louder. "They're coming," whispered Dr. Harper. His crew sprinted through the alien city, the shrieks multiplying around them. Shapes emerged from the shadows, dozens of alien figures, each as horrifying as the first. Their glowing eyes burned in the darkness as they closed in, relentless and ravenous. The path back to the shuttle was overrun. Trapped, the crew barricaded themselves inside a crumbling building. It was there that they noticed Jenkins' worsening condition. Sweat poured down his face, and his veins pulsed black under his skin. He doubled over in pain, clutching his stomach. "Something's wrong," muttered Dr. Harper, inching back. Suddenly, Jenkins convulsed violently, his screams turning guttural. His body twisted and contorted, his skin graying as his eyes began to glow. "He's turning," someone yelled. The newly transformed Jenkins lunged at the nearest crew member, tearing into their throat with unnerving strength. Chaos erupted as the team scrambled, some firing at Jenkins, others trying to escape. By the time they subdued him, another crewmate was dead, and the reality of their situation was clear. "We can't save anyone who's bitten," Captain Morgan said grimly. "We leave them behind." Over the following days, the crew was hunted relentlessly through the alien city. Supplies dwindled, and their numbers thinned as more of their own fell victim to the infected. The creatures moved in swarms, their glowing eyes burning in the dark, their guttural shrieks haunting the survivors. They learned the hard way that the infected could only be killed with precise headshots. But for every one they took down, it seemed two more appeared. The labyrinthine ruins offered some shelter, but also constant danger. The team was forced to sleep in shifts, always wary of the slightest sound. Dr. Harper theorized the creatures were the result of a virus, one engineered by the alien civilization that once thrived here. "They must have tried to contain it," she said, glancing at the cryptic warning signs etched into the city walls. "But they failed. And now, it doesn't matter why this happened," Captain Morgan snapped. "We just need to get out of here alive." The team grew more desperate with every passing hour. At one point, they managed to scale a tall structure, hoping to spot the shuttle. From the rooftop, they could see the landing site, but the infected swarmed the area, hundreds of them moving in a grotesque tide. The shuttle was their only way off the planet, but reaching it seemed impossible. "We can't fight through them," Morgan said, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "We'd never make it." "We don't have to fight through them," said Ryan, the ship's engineer, his face lit with determination. "We can distract them, give them something to chase." The plan was simple but dangerous. The team would rig one of the alien structures to collapse, creating a massive noise to draw the infected away from the shuttle. The crew would then make a break for the ship, using the chaos to cover their escape. It was risky and it would cost them precious time, but it was their only chance. As the crew moved to execute the plan, they were ambushed by another group of infected. The fight was brutal, with the team using everything they had: flamethrowers, explosives, and firearms. More crew members fell, their screams echoing as they were dragged into the darkness. Finally, they reached the structure. Ryan worked quickly, setting the charges while the others held off the advancing infected. Sweat dripped from his brow as he connected the final wire. "Done!" he shouted, sprinting back to the group. The charges detonated with a deafening roar, sending a massive spire crashing to the ground. Dust and debris filled the air, and the infected turned en masse toward the noise. "Move!" Morgan shouted. The survivors ran, weaving through the ruins as the swarm converged on the destruction. Every step toward the shuttle felt like an eternity. They could hear the creatures behind them, some breaking away from the swarm to give chase. By the time they reached the shuttle, only 5 of the original crew were left. The ramp lowered, and the survivors scrambled aboard. Ryan and Harper fired their weapons into the horde, buying precious seconds as the engines roared to life. "Get us out of here," Morgan screamed to the pilot. The shuttle lifted off, its thrusters scorching the ground below. The creatures reached for it, their glowing eyes fixed on their escaping prey. But the ship rose higher and higher, leaving them behind. Inside the cabin, the survivors collapsed, trembling and bloodied. They had made it, but at a terrible cost. Morgan surveyed her crew. Only a handful of them had survived the ordeal, and each wore the haunted look of someone who had seen too much. "We made it," Harper whispered, though her voice was hollow. "We're alive." As the shuttle drifted into orbit, the survivors tried to collect themselves. Dr. Harper moved to the medical bay to tend to the wounded, while Captain Morgan stared out the viewport at the planet below. Unbeknownst to them, in the shadows of the cargo hold, one of their own sat apart from the group. It was Lieutenant Daniels, one of the ship's engineers. He had been bitten during the escape but had hidden the wound, covering it with a makeshift bandage. Sweat poured down his face, and his breathing was shallow. He clenched his arm, watching in horror as black veins spread up toward his shoulder. His veins pulsed, glowing faintly in the dim light. Daniels opened his mouth to call for help, but instead, a guttural growl escaped his throat. The infection wasn't left behind. This chilling tale reminds us that survival often comes at a cost, and sometimes the horrors we leave behind follow us home. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more spine-chilling tales of horror and the supernatural. Who knows what other terrors lurk out there in the darkness of space?